Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing Nuke.
Welcome back, fight fans. Is Triple G getting enough credit? Let's explore it. Now let's take a look here at Triple G's record, and this will be just right off the bat. He's 38-0 with 34 knockouts, 1 draw. His last opponent was Vanes Martirosyan, which he knocked out in the second round. Prior to that, he had a split decision draw with Saul Canelo Alvarez, and prior to that, he beat Danny Jacobs by unanimous decision, and prior to that, he knocked out Kell Brook in the 5th round, fracturing his face, breaking his eye socket, and prior to that, he knocked out Dominic Wade in the 2nd, and prior to that, David Lemieux in the 8th. So he's done very well for himself. But let's get into what's the real grits and gravy of all this, because I've been getting a lot of feedback from a lot of different people, comments, tweets, things like that. People reaching out to me, telling me that, Triple G, is he hyped? Is he overrated? We believe this, we believe that. He's not good enough. And I'm going to be honest with you, he's not getting enough credit. He's a hell of a fighter. He's one of the best. And I'll say as of right now, he is the best middleweight on the planet, hands down. And a lot of people have been coming to me telling me Jamal Charlo. And the only thing I can say in the great words of Conor McGregor, who the fuck is this guy? Who has Jamal Charlo fucking face to be worthy of being anybody in the conversation against Triple G? Let's look at his record and who he's fought. Let's do a quick breakdown. Jamal Charlo is 27-0 with 21 knockouts. Jamal Charlo is 28 years old. He looks like he has a lot of power. And let's explore his last 5 fights. First, we have Hugo Centeno Jr., who he knocked out in the 2nd round. We clearly know that Hugo Centeno Jr. had already came in with a loss on his record. So prior to that, he lost to Machai Sulecki, the same guy Danny Jacobs just beat, but no one gives him credit for. And so Hugo Centeno Jr., not impressive win by any means. Jorge Sebastian Hyland, not impressive by any means. Julian Williams, not impressive. Austin Trout, he's basically a gatekeeper. And not only is he a gatekeeper, but Jamal Charlo didn't even knock him out. He basically won a unanimous decision over 12 rounds. So when you step up to competition, Austin Trout is not elite, but he's a very good fighter. He's very good. So basically, if you beat an Austin Trout by knockout, you'll show, okay, I'm next level. And Austin Trout's not the kind of guy that's ever really going to get knocked out unless it's by a significant fighter. And the only person that did stop him in his entire career is Jarrett Swift-Hurd. Now I give you this, Jarrett Hurd basically continuously hurt him. I thought Jarrett Swift-Hurd was losing that fight, and basically he just kept pounding him round after round after round, and it just added up to where Austin Trout couldn't take anymore. But Austin Trout is a very good fighter. He did beat him, so I give him some credit for the Austin Trout win. But then again, you're talking about the best middleweight. I believe he beat Austin Trout at 154 pounds. And so this is not even a middleweight win. And so even if I give him credit for this, it's not elite top level because he didn't knock the guy out. And since we're holding him at a higher standard for saying who's the best, Jamal Charlo does not reach that standard. Because if he wants to be considered the best like Triple G, he would have got him out of there. Triple G is not afraid of Jamal Charlo by any means. Now let's take a look at this. The same people that don't give Triple G credit for fighting the top competition and making them look normal are the same fucking idiots that claim that Errol Spence is pound for pound fighter over Terrence Crawford and Anthony Joshua is ducking Deontay Wilder. So these are delusional people who don't understand boxing and who don't know shit about boxing. Clearly, Anthony Joshua is over Deontay Wilder. Clearly, Errol Spence is not pound for pound over anyone. Errol Spence does not have a pound for pound win on his fucking resume. And if he did have enough wins that equal a pound for pound fighter, he doesn't. People put Errol Spence on the resume for pound because they believe that by the way he's defeated guys, it was impressive, and they made him a pound for pound fighter based on his popularity. Imagine if Triple G had did what Errol Spence has done. So basically fought no elite fighters, beat a B-level fighter, and then was just pound for pound. They would crucify this guy. So if you look at Triple G's record, you say, well, let's examine the records comparisons. They both fought Kell Brook. Well, Triple G's the one who fractured Kell Brook's entire face, a guy who had never been stopped, and stopped him. And then Errol Spence comes behind him. People give him credit for fracturing his face also. Anybody would have fractured his face. He already had the fractures there on both sides. It was just a matter of time. What other person's face has Errol Spence fractured, or who else has he stopped in significant fashion like that? No one. He's beaten a lot of tomato cans like Carlos Ocampo, Lamont Peterson. So there's no one impressive on his resume. Kell Brook is a solid B-level fighter. He's not the kind of guy that you're going to say is amazing by any stretch. Triple G fought him when he was undefeated, when he was 100% whole and not damaged. Triple G got that win. He came up to middleweight and fought him. Now Triple G, at the same time, we got to look at it like this. We don't give him a lot of credit for that win because the guy was basically a blown up welterweight. So we're not going to give Triple G any credit for it, but at the same time, we're going to minimize the credit for Spence because there was really no valid reason why you should be on a pound for pound list for beating up a damaged guy like that and coming off an injury and a knockout with no tune-up. And I'm going to put you on the pound for pound list. There's no one else on his record that he deserves to be a pound for pound fighter. But back to Triple G, I digress. And so the same people that don't want to give Triple G that credit are the same people that say those idiotic things. Triple G has knocked out 23 fighters in a row, and he's 36 years old. Triple G honestly is the most dominant middleweight since Hagler. A lot of this stuff is envy. People can't appreciate the talent because if you look at the fighters that they fanboy for, they don't display the same willingness to fight everybody, and it's fucking sad. They're basically fanboys at this point. And so, let's not get into that and try to act like Triple G's not this or Triple G's not that. Triple G will be an all-time great fighter in the middleweight division and pretty much in boxing generally. If you look at Triple G's record again, and so he has basically a 91.8% knockout rate. 91.8% knockout rate. He's already made 17 successful title defenses, second only to Bernard Hopkins, who made 20. Think about that. And so I believe he made 19 now. I believe is what it is, 18 or 19 now. And so he's basically about to break the record in his next fight, or at least tie it. And so if you're looking at it like this, Triple G has the Hall of Fame credentials already. And so it's going to come down to resume. So if you look at who he's beaten, you go back and you look at Danny Jacobs. I honestly think that Danny Jacobs' fight was a draw. And I kind of wanted to say, okay, I give it to Danny Jacobs, or it was a draw. But I can understand how somebody would give it to Triple G or made it a draw, because it was that close of a fight. The Canelo Alvarez fight was not that close. It was not. Triple G clearly won that fight, and he's not getting enough credit for it. Let's be fucking honest. He's not. Triple G gets a lot of hate, but if you look at his resume as of late, when people try to say, oh, well, he fought a bunch of tomato cans, but then he stepped up and fought a badass Danny Jacobs, a guy who has great power, who's 34 and 2 with 29 knockouts. The guy's only lost to Gennady Golovkin and Dmitry Pirog. And when he fought Dmitry Pirog, his grandmother had died, and we believe he had cancer. Are you serious? And Dmitry Pirog is not even around for him to get a rematch. He destroyed everyone else he's fought. Everyone. Gennady Golovkin is the only one that gave him this much of a great fight. Period. And outside of that, Gennady Golovkin ended up fighting Canelo Alvarez. A lot of guys said, well, he'll never fight Canelo, fight Triple G, take a step up fight, take this, take that. And he did. He fought the Daniel Jacobs. And he fought the Canelo Alvarez. And he came out with his belts in both fights. Regardless of how you saw the fights, he came out with both fights. And the judges agreed. Triple G is the greatest fighter at middleweight. He is ducking no one. He's fighting two fighters that, in my opinion, would destroy Jermall Charlo. Because Jermall Charlo hasn't fought anyone that proved that he's elite or that he's unstoppable. People give Jermall Charlo all his credit. So let's take a look at it like this. You say Jermall Charlo can beat Canelo Alvarez, then tell me how this makes sense. How does he beat Canelo Alvarez? I've been hearing a lot of people saying he stops him. There's no fucking way he stops him. You couldn't fucking stop Austin Trout, but you're going to stop Canelo Alvarez at 160? Are you fucking kidding me? Jermall Charlo openly and clearly ducked Danny Jacobs, saying, I'm in no rush to make that fight. Those words came out of his fucking mouth. But Triple G's supposed to be avoiding this guy? A guy who's never been world champion at 160 pounds. A guy who's never fought elite competition at 160 pounds. Say what you want about Canelo and Danny Jacobs, their flaws, their wins, their losses, but these fucking guys are elite fighters. And Triple G faced them both and came out with his belts on the other side. Let's not bullshit ourselves here and hate on Triple G. Give the man his fucking credit. It looks like here, but based on the information and his title defenses and his knockout streak, the guy's an all-time fucking great. He's an all-time fucking great. Who has this many title defenses and who knocks out 23 fighters in a row and he's 36 years old? Like, who does this? This guy's fucking great. And Triple G, at this age, is still the fucking man. He's still here fighting. And if he beats Canelo Alvarez, then you have to say Triple G is pound for pound top three. Top three. Not just a pound for pound fighter, but pound for pound top three. And it could be debated he could be number one. It could be debated he's number one. Because his resume at that time with the Canelo Alvarez, and depending on how he stops him, if he stops Canelo, a fighter who's never been stopped, an elite fighter and a pound for pound fighter, if he stops Canelo in this next fight, how can you put Vasily Lomachenko or Terence Crawford over it when their resumes cannot stack up to his at that point? Terence Crawford is the only one that you could have an argument for because he was a unified champion at 140 pounds and he moved up to 147 and he's already a champion again. So we have to always give much respect to Terence Crawford. So even if Triple G was at number one, he'd be in the top three. Number one, number two, or number three. Period. It's no fucking debate. Stop hating on Triple G and stop using your fanboyism as a fucking way for you to come out and say, oh, everybody's scared of Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo ducked Danny Jacobs, said he's in no rush to make that fight happen, doesn't want that work because he's afraid of what Danny Jacobs does to him. Because he's going to risk his entire win streak on fighting a dangerous fighter like Danny Jacobs for not a lot of publicity, not a lot of money, and no belts. Absolutely not. He wants to fight a Canelo or Triple G so he can cash out, win, lose, or draw. I don't feel like Jermall Charlo stops Canelo or Triple G for the simple fact that if you can't stop an Austin Trout, what the fuck makes you think you stopping a Triple G or Canelo at 160 pounds? Tell the truth. But that's just real talk, unbiased talk from the IBFP. Please share, like, and subscribe. Stay tuned, fight fans.